All right. I think I'm live. Good morning, everyone. Starting a new day, new work on attributes, exciting things. Okay. Let me just quickly check that we are live everywhere. I am live on YouTube. Good. Am I live on Twitch? Hmm. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah. And the last one, which I think did not happen. Actually, yes. I'm live in here as well. Nice. Nice. I'm also live on x.com on Twitter. This is a new thing. I'm trying it out. So if anybody's watching from Twitter, x.com, appreciate it. Thank you guys. All right. Actually, I've got plenty of viewers here. So if anybody wants to drop some good morning message, anything, kind of love that. And I see Glenn. Hey, thank you for dropping by. Been eagerly waiting to see this one, Alex. Yeah, cool. So I already shared on Twitter before that today it's filtering time. As you may know, I am sharing a bit of my daily work on attributes version 2. It's a complete overhaul of the Finsweet attributes that many people know. Um, and amongst many other things that we're including, we are doing a completely rebuild of the list functionalities. So everything related to filtering, sorting, loading more items, etc., making it hopefully simpler to use, but as well making it extending it, adding more functionalities, right? And today I'm focusing on building features, functionalities around filters, which there's a bunch of things that are already working, and I'm going to start by doing implementing tests for them so I can show you the functionalities, and then in the meantime I also can add automated tests, and then maybe in mid live stream I hopefully will start working on new functionalities in the filtering system. So Glenn, thank you for dropping by. Anybody else wants to say hi, I'm going to appreciate it. As I mentioned in early live streams, this is more of a just sharing how I'm building. It's not that much educational. I'm not aiming to teach you how to code in these live streams. I'm more just wanting to work alongside with whatever whoever wants to be, you know, just watching me while you do whatever. I'm following a Pomodoro strategy. So essentially, 25 minutes of deep work, 5 minutes of short, 25 minutes of deep work, 5 minutes of short. And I'll be doing that for 2 hours. So I'll try to stay, alert to the chat. But if you see that I'm not answering, don't worry. I'm always going to be deep diving into the messages during the short breaks. Okay. So in 2 minutes, so when it's 5 minutes past the time, I'm going to start the timer for the first Pomodoro cycle, and deep work will start. So anybody who wants to just follow along and do the same cycles, to do a bit of deep work and then short and any QA or whatever discussions you want to have with me during the breaks, I will be happy to do it. And something that I found out is that I can play music, copyright music. Love that. Hopefully, not gonna be annoying for you guys. It's okay, cool. Let me review this. Feature breakdown of FS list. That's what I was doing right now. There's still a missing task for infinite loading. I did not do that, but we can do it later. Good morning, Joe. Thank you for dropping by. Another day, another stream. Hopefully, I can see you around more times. Joe has been here since day one. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Joel. Let's go. Let's deep focus. Okay, great. So as I'm mentioning today, it's filter time. So the first thing that I want to do is in these feature breakdown that I'm doing, let's list everything related to filtering so it's easier for me to track all that I'm both done or that I have to do to finish up everything related to filtering. So I've got here a couple of Notion lists so I can keep track of both all the elements for attributes that play in the functionalities, all the settings, and then the features that we are developing. So there's a bunch of elements that are missing here for filtering, but I know I have the basic ones, which is the filters. I also need the fields, but that's a setting. I think that actually we're mostly good. Let me see. Oops. Should zoom in. Let's filter basic. I'm gonna start with these setup. Okay, so in here we essentially just have a list, and I think that this list has some loading as well. Yes, but we can potentially start with no loading. Maybe we can combine it later, or no, let's actually do it. Let's do, how many can we do? We can do maybe 30 per page. Like that, that's a bit more reasonable. And maybe we can limit the items to be 300, like that. So we essentially get 10 pages, and that's gonna help us both test the filtering on a single page, but also when loading more items in the background. Because the idea is that when you apply a filter, but there are items being loaded, that filter will apply not only the items that are currently on the page, but any feature item that comes into the list. So all we need here is the element list to define the list, the FS list mode, the FS list load more, but that's already defined. Then we need to define the filters, which is these element. And I think that we're good because the rest of it is just using the fields and the operators. Fields and operators and the type, I think. Yep, and the type. Okay, cool. So that means that in here we've got the element filters, all good. We've got, we can also test the clear one as well. That's gonna be helpful, the clear button. And in here, we're gonna list the FS list field. And this is a setting that defines a item field. Actually, it works in two ways, because these attribute, it's used both to define properties in items. So here, for example, if I have name, year, color, or updated, each one of these are fields that I want to filter by. So I define the same property name, which is field name in this case, field year, field color, etc. You can get rid of the test IDs here to not confuse people. Like that. So we need to, this is going to be affecting both the properties inside the items and the filter inputs to connect things. So when you type on the name field in here, we know that we are filtering, but then by the name elements inside the items. So it defines a property of the list items that can be used to apply actions like filtering or sorting. Great. And the elements that this affects doesn't apply directly to any element, but the features, that's what I want to define. I want to define filter. There are going to be two filter modes. There's the filter mode of basic and the filter mode of advanced. The basic is the one that you just saw. The advanced is where we can dynamically add more conditions in an Airtable like filtering system. You will see it later. Okay, so filter basic. Let's start with just text search. So I want to keep things simple. Text filtering with a name, but let's not make it fuzzy for now. The year and the color, but we actually have a few things that we need to consider. I'll just put it in here. Because when doing filtering, not only now in Attributes V2, we can use we can use the fields, we can also add operators. And the operators allows us to define different ways of matching things. By default, I think that if I remember correctly, the operator it contains. So essentially, when you search for a name here and you write something like ALL, this field is going to be matched because it contains an A, an L, and an L inside the word. But also we've got things like strictly equal, so equals, not equals. Let me try to remember all of these. This was in list, utils, constants. What are all the operators? Here. Equal, not equal, contains, not contains, greater, greater equal, less, less equal, empty, not empty, and fuzzy. The fuzzy one is exciting. Okay, cool. So equal, not equal, contains, not contains. Let's follow the same thing here. Equals, it's equal? Equal. So no S. Equal. What? Equal, not equal. Contains, not contains. Oh. So weird. Greater than, greater, equal is? Okay, so it's greater or greater equal. Greater, greater equal, less, less equal. Empty, not empty, and fuzzy. Empty, not empty, and fuzzy. So we need to add tests for all of these. It's going to be a bit, cumbersome, but we need to do it because I want to make sure that when we ship, it's fully operating. It's fully working. So thinking not only that, but actually we need to test for types as well. Because a field can be either the default type, which is a string, but there are number types and date types. So it can be text, it can be number, or it can be date. Because when you are, for example, filtering by this updated field, you could be filtering by just what it says here, which is August 27, 2024, like if it was a string, or you could be filtering by a date. You could convert that into a date. If we treat this as a string, we cannot do things like greater or greater equal, because a string does not have this kind of operator matching. But if it's a date, we can say, hey, is this date greater than the other date? Instead of saying, hey, does this date contain a number 27, which would be for a string. A lot of combinations. It's going to be hard to test all of these. And also, not only this, operators and types, but then we also need to consider the field types. The form fields. Because we need to account for text inputs, the number inputs, the date inputs, checkboxes, radios, selects, single, select multiple. Let's call these text, number, date, range, but it would be treated as number as well. Hey, Noda, good morning. Thank you for dropping by. Text, numbers, dates, checkbox, radio, select single, select multiple. What else? There are more types that we need to consider, but we can start with these ones. Okay, so all of these combinations need to be tested. The functionality is already built, but while testing, we might find some bugs. So let's try to break this down. Okay, how do we do this in a rather simple way? Equal, not equal, contains, not contains, greater, equal, less. Because also ideally we would do combinations of all of these, not only a single per test. Well, let's start by doing a very simple thing, which will be just filtering by name. Let's get rid of all of this. And in here, let's start by doing equal, like that. So when we filter by equal, in here, what we want to do is define the name, and we want to define an operator because by default, it's not equal, it's contains. So if we do fs list operator, let me zoom in, that's going to be equal, like that. Then let's do another one that's going to be not equal. Let's do this, not equal. Another one for contains, not contains, greater, equal, etc. Okay, so contains. Not contains. And then greater, equal, less equal. We cannot do that with the names. These must be applied to either numbers or dates. NTM not empty, that can only be affected either via checkboxes. So we can check that, hey, this exists or does not exist, or by advanced filtering, which would be this. Let me show you. This. So in here, when we do advanced filtering, we are able to select a specific field, and then we can decide if it should be empty, not empty, stuff like that. And then we can add conditions in conditions group. But that's a topic for later. So let's skip empty, not empty. And lastly, let's do fuzzy. Fuzzy. And the fuzzy one is also another one that I'm very excited for. Okay. Let's start with this. Let's start with this. Let's start testing, manually testing, and then we can we can do automated tests. So I'm moving into a different branch. This is a small refactoring that I did. Factor tests naming. Push the master, I don't care. Okay, I had some work done for FS filter results, but we can keep it in here. you know what? No, let's create another branch. So the new branch is going to be at first list filter tests, basic tests. Okay, great. PMEI. And let's try this. Great. Okay, cool. So in here, let's do just manual. No, I don't want to out of field stuff. Let's do some manual testing first, and then we can automate this. We can write it. So equal, we could say hello, and it matches, but only it matches when it's with the same capital letters. But I don't think that should be the expected behavior. Anybody watching this, what do you think about when doing equal matching, if we should respect or not respect, not skip the uppercase, lowercase of the letters? Because I assume that if I do this as well, it's not going to match. I think that we should maintain things all, like if it's lowercase, I think that it should match, because otherwise it's a bit annoying. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Let's do it. So let me go to the filtering logic in here. And in case that you're curious, what we're doing is we are collecting these type of data where we collect groups, and inside the groups we have conditions, and each of the conditions is a specific field with a specific operator with a specific value, and some condition for matching as well, and some fuzzy if the fuzzy is the operator. Sorry. But where the filtering is happening is in here. We loop through all the groups, all the conditions, and all the fields. And then we check each condition, either if it's empty, not empty, fuzzy, equal, blah, 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 blah. So when doing equal, when it's a string, filter value, the field data value length, yeah, let me check these are equal. Right. When checking for equality, we should be setting things lowercase. Let me try to remember this because I wrote this logic a while ago. And I want to make sure that I'm doing this right. What am I console logging? I don't want to console log anything. Yeah, let's just go away for now. No need for this. No need for this. Okay, so here in the filtering, let me console log everything. I want to console log the filter data. I want to console log the field data as well. Yeah. Okay, def true, because I want to load this from local. And in here, allow. Great. So we've got the filtering in here, and the data is the field data. It's the field from the item. Okay. Correct. And the filter data is the data from the filter, which in this case, it would be the field name with the operator of equal and the value of LLO. Correct. Okay, so the field data where we're checking in here, I'm checking for it to have a value of length equals to 1. But it's not an array. No, yes, it is an array. Yeah, correct. The reason why we collect the field data, so essentially these data in an array, it's because potentially inside here, I could have nested lists. So instead of having a single name, I could potentially have multiple names. And in the case of checking for equality, we cannot make it equal when checking for a single field against multiple fields. It must be another operator like contains. It's a bit complex. Okay, good. So, and then here we're checking if the field data, the value of the field data to lowercase is equal to the filter value to lowercase again. Or we can simply just, let's do it in here. Number or value. Get time, row A. Yeah, correct. So in here, let's add another condition, and let's say row A instance of string. No, type of, come on, type of row A is a string. Then we're gonna set this to lowercase, like this. Correct. And we want to do the same thing for B. So essentially, when the values are strings, we're always going to make them lowercase, so it's easier to compare. Correct. I'm thinking do we have type cards for this? Is string? Yeah, we do. We do. So no need to do this. We can make it simpler. We can say a string, row A, like that. Great. And the same thing in here. So this is going to be row B, like that. So if we did it right, now when filtering, I should be able to filter with lowercase. Yeah, nice. Great. Let me try another one. Alvaro. Correct. I'll say allo. Correct. Let's do one that it's paginated. Let's see. Let's go to page 2. Let's go to page 7 or 5. Let's try Belraris. Okay, nice. That's great. Oh, there's another thing that we need to test here. There's more things, but we need to test for debouncing as well. Because by default, we don't debounce anything. But we could potentially debounce. Well, we can debounce here. So when I start writing, it has to wait for a few milliseconds before filtering, so it optimizes for performance. But let's keep trying. So not equal. Obviously, if I start messing up like this, it's going to match everything. But what if I do low? Yeah, nice. So you can see how essentially when I match a specific item, that item goes away. Like that. Alvaro. Yeah, I'll see allo. Nice. Now there's another thing that I want to check, and it's how the rendering is happening. Am I optimizing it right? For example, if I type here Alvaro, the whole list should not be re-rendering. It should only it should only, okay, well, we're going to do a break in a second. It should only remove the specific item that it's not matching, but it should keep the other ones. It should, that's the idea. So let me try. Okay, there's definitely more re-rendering that I want to. So we should do something about this. Yeah. Okay, we can check that. Cool. Break time. Well, I'm surprised that there's quite a lot of viewers from X.com, but I'm suspecting that this is actually not true. This is the first time that... Is anybody from X.com watching here? I'm just curious, because it's very weird that... Okay. They're lying, because in X.com it says that I'm having 50 viewers, but that's not true. I had 50 visualizations, which is different from viewers. Because one thing is having somebody who's watching you right now, which is what it's telling me, right? And the other thing is somebody who came by, saw the video, but then continued, moved on, which is not the case. Twitter, you're lying to me. Joel, it's an interesting use case to try the filtering by field type. I assume that this is because you can access the data type in Webflow. That's right, yeah. So essentially in Webflow, imagine that this updated field, this field comes from a CMS, let me show you. Well, actually, yeah, it's one of the default fields from Webflow, but I could potentially create another field that it's, I don't know, like a different date, something like sold. So if I came here and I said, add another field, and that field, it's a date field, right? And I sold date, something like that. So then these cars, I could manually say, hey, this car was sold last week, stuff like that, right? When you go and render this on the page, Webflow gives you ways to show dates, which I cannot find now. Yeah, here. Like you can format this in different ways, as you can see, right? There's all these ways of formatting. Or when it's a number, this is a number, right? But all of these, when they are just rendered on the page, they are all become strings. Like if I inspect this, all I see is that this is a string. So I cannot know if this was formatted from a date in Webflow or the user just came in here and manually wrote August 27, 2024, or manually wrote 2024, right? So there's no way of distinguishing between originally number types or originally date types from just strings that the user wrote that are not supposed to be representing numbers or dates, right? Because if we just treat everything as strings, then the filtering will not match correctly. Because it's not the same matching something when it's a date than when it's a simple string. The comparisons, the qualities, the filtering itself changes. So that's why there's these additional type attribute that allows us to say, oh, okay, this is actually a date. We need to check for that. Potentially there are ways to infer if there's a date. For example, I don't know if it was Moment.js or no, DateFans, I think that is. And with DateFans, you can do things like inferring if something is a valid date or not. Let me try to remember which was it. Is valid, for example, I think. But the problem with this is that it adds a lot of weight to the platform, to the package. It's not very lightweight, these kind of things, because it needs to identify for all kind of dates. This date could be in all languages. It could be in all these different formats. So yeah, it's a pain in the ass inferring when something is a date. Numbers could potentially be inferred by just using a regex, but as well, but again, there might be some false positives when the user did not explicitly want to treat that as a number and instead should be a string. So it's tricky. Okay, let's continue building stuff. Great, so let's keep testing things. So not equal contains, let's do allo. Nice, this is working as expected. Does not contain, if I do allo in here. Hey, good morning, Justa. Thank you for dropping by. If it does not contain, then it should match everything that does not have allo inside. So if I remove this, then I see it. If not, like that. Okay, cool. And then the fuzzy one, which is the exciting one, if I do a typo, like I'm missing an L here, this is still matching. Cool. Okay, great. So all of these now seems to be working fine, so let's add a test for it. And you know what? I'm gonna try to ask OpenAI to build a test for me. Let's see how the job goes. So let's first of all do filter basic. Let's do test. Filter basic. Let's do text. Let me see. Form fields, text number, date, checkbox, radio, single select, multi-select, text number, date. Yeah, let's stick for now. Let's stick with filter basic text. Like that. And we can even call these filter basic text. So we can keep things simple. It's tricky to stay organized with all these different test cases. Okay, I think that we can even simplify it more by doing this. Yeah. Basic text. Like that. Okay, nice. So async page. Okay, ending here. Well, first of all, we need to visit this and wait for the attributes to be loaded. And the URL, it's this one. And then I need to test for this. So let's add Copilot. Let's see if it can do a good job. So create a test for filter basic text where and follow where first of all it waits until the CMS items are loaded. Let's see if it does the job. Waits until the CMS items are loaded. Oh, fuck. Ah. Let's start over. Wait until the CMS items are loaded. Then what do we want to do? Gets, retrieves the filters element, which can with a locator of fs list element equals to filters, like that. Retrieves the list. Do we need the list? No, we don't need the list. Retrieves the filter inputs with located inside the filters with the following selectors: fs list field name. Actually, we can simply do operator that it's equal or not equal, contains, not contains. Which was the other one? Equal, not equal, contains, not contains, and fuzzy. Then rights types. What can we do? Equal alalo in the equal field. Retrieves the list items by querying by thin item. Checks that the element fs list field name in the first list item has a text of alalo. Let's see how it does so far. Was it worth it? I don't think this was worth it. Come on. Filter basic text. What are you showing me, Copilot? Oh, maybe. Hold on. Okay. Let's see. Maybe we can trust you, Copilot. So filters, fs list element filters, equal input, not equal input, contains input, not contains input, fuzzy input. Well, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, actually. Now I'm wondering if we can simply use the selectors from here. Let me try something. Const selector, get selector, get setting selector. No, get element selector. Get element selector from list. Can I do that? Yeah, that might be better. Filters. Let's see if this works better. Like this. And then we can do the same thing, but for this. Settings selector. And that would be operator, and it would be equal. Yeah, much better than hard coding stuff. Great. So then refactor this to use get settings selector. Nice. Okay, so we got the elements, and then we fill allo, and then we check for the 10 items. We should look for the list. Cons list. Yeah, and look inside the list. First item, fill name, locator, use get setting selector instead. Yeah, like that. And okay, let's try this. Come on, give me the testing. Sometimes it happens, I don't know why, that the extension of Playwright here, it works beautifully. I get all these play buttons next to each of the tests so I can play it in here. And sometimes it completely disappears. And I don't know why. Playwright. Toggle player. Why? Come on. No? Okay, we'll have to do this then only. And we will have to go and say PM test. It's not defined by exports in right. So I need to export this. Let's try it again. So essentially, when I was trying to consume this from inside the test field, the test file, it's complaining that the package, because we're using a monorepo with many packages, that the package in here was not exporting these selector helpers. Okay, let's try it again. Packet subpath is not defined by exports. No, because I want to get it from here instead. Now what? TypeScript error module needs an import attribute of type JSON. What? I'm exporting elements and settings. I'm exporting a theme from components, package.json. The module needs an import attribute of type JSON. What's happening here? To fix the type error related to importing JSON files in a TypeScript project, you need to add the assert type JSON attribute to the import statement. here's how you can modify these. Interesting. Okay. So it's telling me to do this instead. Like that. Experimental warning, importing JSON modules is an experimental feature and might change at any time. Use node trace warnings. Syntax error, the requested module does not provide an export name version. Ah, come on. I don't want to run into these issues just for using something from here. Why are you doing this to me? Don't do this to me. Let's try again. What if I, instead of doing this, I simply do this? And I add a selectors here, source, utils, selectors. And in here, I do the same thing, utils, selectors. Property selectors is not allowed. Use to specify option like that. And then instead of doing this, we do this. Is that a thing that we can do? Can I find module attributes list selectors or its corresponding type declarations? But the result cannot be resolved under your current module resolution. Consider updating to node, node next, or bundler. What happens if I try to run this? Oh, but then it runs. So it's just a TypeScript error. Interesting. And it passes. So it's definitely just a TypeScript error. What's happening here, Copilot? Let me know. To resolve the module resolution issue, you need to update your TS-config JSON to use a module resolution strategy that can handle the module paths correctly. You can set the module resolution option to node 16, node next, or bundler. I think that we do have node next. I think. Module resolution. What if I do bundler? Oh, then it works. Okay, interesting. But what happens then if I run this in dev? Because then this might be breaking the other type checking. Or if I do pm check, is it going to break any type checking here? Okay, looks to be working. Actually, no. Slider, there's an error here. Swiper types, modules, pagination. Maybe that's because I need to... actually, slider, they should go away. Maybe read the package as a file and parse to JSON. In Dino, you can do this. Import file from version.json with type JSON. Could be, but it was not really the problem because I'm using ESBuild already to bundle everything. So essentially, each of the attributes here, it's a package, right? And there's a single package that is the entry one, which is the one that is called attributes. The rest, it's just a monorepo that we use to organize things. So when bundling, ESBuild already takes care of everything. So from each of the packages, I can export things like like the package version, or even if I wanted to do CSS, ESBuild already handles that for me. But when running Playwright, it's not using any bundler. Playwright is just using the Node.js runtime to scan all the files and then run the tests. So sometimes it happens things like this, where when bundling or when developing it works fine, but then when testing, because it's a different environment, things just stop working, and it expects me to use different things. In this case, I don't know why, but Hannah find module swiper types modules pagination. I don't know what this is. Pagination options, swiper options. What is this? What is this? Make being messed up. Let me try to fix this. Swiper options. Pagination options. I know that it's completely unrelated. But then now this should be fixed. Yep. Yeah, I think that I should update. We use a shared TS config in the company. Hold on, I'm still getting errors. We use a shared TS config around the company with some predefined compiler options. And I know that for the module resolution, we use the node strategy. But we mostly use bundlers everywhere, so maybe it makes sense to move it into bundler strategy. Error PM request from first fail. Here we've got another error for the slider, but this package actually should go away. So this package will not be shipped in attributes v2 because we deprecated it in favor of Finsweet components. Okay, cool. At least now we are passing the type checking and we are passing the tests. Nice. I'm gonna refactor everything later to use these get element selector instead of hard coding things. But for now, let's continue adding tests. Let's do equal input fill, alalo, Then let's clear the equal input field. Cool. How do I accept without having to click? Okay, cool. Then let's do not equal input fill alalo, and when we do this, the first one should be Alvaro. First item name should be Alvaro. Okay, nice. Let's factor this a bit. We can do field name field selector. So we can replace this from here. Okay, then let's erase this. Then when we do contains, let's do another one. Let's do something that it's paginated. Let's do contains OGE. And it should return 3 items, these 3. So let's count these 3. Fill the contains input with OGE. Cool. But this is not right. Check that the first 3, check that there are 3 items with the name values of Velcogera, and I don't even know how to pronounce this. this is not right. This is not right. Copilot, you're already introducing bugs here. Not equal input. Then this is not right. List items. And the list items should be gathered again. Anytime that somebody tells me that AI is going to take our jobs, I just need to show them this clip where it completely invented what I was wanting to do. I'm going to use these 5 minutes to rant about how Copilot starts hallucinating the moment that you give it a bit more complex instructions. It's a pain in the ass. Yeah, I'm going to review this later. Need to follow the short break. Okay. Break time. How's the music though? I am using AI generated lo-fi, but there are other options. I can do AI generated chill music. AI generated down tempo music. Sounds the same to me. AI generated chill hop. Okay. AI generated hip hop. It's all lo-fi if you ask me. AI generated lounge. Which service are you using for music? I'm using a single service for streaming. Hold on, let me decrease the music. This is the minimum volume for the music that I can have. I'm using Restream. It's this. So I'm gonna create an infinite loop now. But here in Restream, it allows me to do a bunch of things. It allows me to stream to different channels. So I can stream to YouTube, to Twitch, and to Twitter at the same time. I can check the chat of all the different channels. So you can see how Joel, you wrote me from YouTube, but then Noda wrote me from Twitch in this example. Then I can do things like adding captions, like break time, or highlighting the chat, as Noda was saying here. Then I can do things like adding music, and you can see how I've got these different options I was testing. Let's try minimal house. Hey, that's cool. We can do a bit of minimal house. Yay. I can add some notes if I wanted to talk about something and, not show it to you guys. I can show, this is default, but I think that it allows me to display kind of like QR codes and links and things. So, I can promote stuff. Nice. I can tweak the settings, like I can add overlays. This is all default. Interesting. And I can change the colors. I can change the styles of the things. I can change the some backgrounds anytime that I'm showing a background, like in here. I can do this. Well, I can change the layouts, so you can see how I can switch from this to this to this to this to this. I can also go just my face, hey, like that. It's cool, honestly, because being that I know nothing about streaming, it's pretty handy that a platform like this just does everything for me. Because otherwise, I would not do it, honestly. If I had to set up OBS and start streaming manually, and I have to think about all the managing and stuff, like fuck it. I just pay a bunch of bucks and let the platform do it for me. Don't know if you tried Windsurf or Cursor as an IDE, but it's great with Cloud Sonnet as AI. I know there's a lot of people talking good things about this, but this does not mean that it's not going to hallucinate anyways. It it might have a bit more range when it comes to complex contexts, but in my experience, all the AIs, doesn't matter how good they are, the moment that you start working with more and more complex contexts, it just starts hallucinating anyways. And I don't want to switch to Cursor for one main reason, and it's that Cursor is built on top of VS Code anyways. And they've taken a bit of the market from Copilot, because Cursor, they came in with a lot of good ideas that were very innovative. But the Copilot team, which is Microsoft, which is VS Code, they are not going to stay hands crossed. They know that people are loving many things from Cursor, and I know that they are working on things to compete against Cursor. So why go to a product that it's based on VS Code just to enjoy some functionalities that I know that eventually are going to become part of VS Code, because that's inevitable. It's inevitable. So I just stay in VS Code and wait for some of those features that can compete against Cursor to come. That means also that I'm lazy. I think that that's the summary, basically. I'm just lazy, and I'll just wait for VS Code to have those features instead of migrating to a different to a different editor. Okay, cool. Let's do the third sprint. Let's try to get these testing done, and then we can focus on new filtering features. So first of all, I need to fix this. Got the list items, which is being redeclared in here. I don't want this. So equal input, yes, we clear the equal input. Not equal input, then we clear the not equal input, then the contains input, we clear this. But no, the contains is the one that we are checking. So we want to fill this, and I want to get rid of all this logic that's nonsense. So it contains input, this, then we get all the items, then we get the items names. Is this going to work? I don't know if this is going to work. Let's try it. Oh, it does. Oh, nice. I didn't know that you could do that in Playwright. So you don't have to loop through the items. You can just pass a single locator that contains multiple items. In this case, are 3 items. And you can do a nested locator, and it's going to get the items of the items without you having to loop or map stuff. Nice. Okay, cool. Okay, not contains. So if I do not contains allo, like this. You know what? There's another thing that we can do to make sure that we're doing things right. And it's not only doing this, but as well adding the results count. Come on. So in here, let me add another text block. matched items of these total. Yeah, let's do that because this helps me make sure that when we are testing, we're always getting the same amount of results, not only checking for specific items to have a value. So this can be fs list element results count, and this can be fs list element items count. I think that the name already tells, but essentially the items count tells me all the items that are loaded. And the results count tells me the items that are filtered and match those filters. Yeah, nice, cool. Then let's do that. Let's make sure that these items are have the right values. So I can do let items count, pates locator. Nope, they should be get element selector, and these should be items count, and let results count, and they should be this. And I want to use let because we're going to, oh no, actually no, it's going to be the same now. It can be a const. Yeah. Okay, so first we don't want to test anything if we don't have await expect items count and results count to have text of 300. Because that means if that's not the case, that means that we are not loading right the test and it's invalid. Okay, after writing a lalo in here, we should get just a single item. So expect results count to have text of 1. I could simply copy this line. We can do it in here. Okay. After doing the not equal, this means that we should, if I am not mistaken, we should get 299, right? If it's not equal. Not equal, 299, correct. Great. And then when we do OGE, we should have to have text of 3 in the contains. Correct. Like that. Oh, there's another thing that we need to consider when testing. And it's the matching, not only the operators, but the matching. Because it could be and or. Because it's not the same if I do this and then also this. Yeah, because by default it's an and matching, meaning that if I try to find an item that is equal to a lalo and that it contains OGE, it does not exist. But I could potentially also change the matching to be or with using the fs list match attribute, and in that case it would have to match this. Correct. So we need to consider that as well when we do more tests. But that's for another time, because otherwise I'm how do you say I am derailing from the main topic. Is that how you say it? I think so. Okay. Anyways, contains da da da, not contains. Let's do the same thing. Hey, Dennis, thank you. Hey, guys, smash that follow button on Twitch. Hey, appreciate it, Dennis. Thank you for dropping by. Let's do fill not contains with OGE. Okay. Oh, well. Hey, nice job, Copilot. So it knew that it would be 297 and that the first name would be Alalo. Nice, good job. Okay, so we've got this one. And then the fuzzy, let's do Aloe. Let's try doing LDD. Let's do this one. So if I write this, it's matching because it's fuzzy. It's matching both this one and this one because it's only a bit different. It only changes for one letter. And also let's do something like Alala, like this. Nice, because when doing fuzzy, we can search for multiple results. Great. So fill the fuzzy input with and check that there are 3 results with the values of Alalo, Aldiris, Altiris. Is it doing it right? I think so. Yay! Okay, cool. Oh, nice. We got now the buttons. Is it gonna work? Is it gonna fail? It worked. Cool. Yeah, now we can play it from here. Okay, good. So all these tests done. Very good. Let's do this. Text. Filter a list by different text matching operator by all the text matching operators. And this would be the basic category. No, this is filter in basic mode. And the elements that are affected by these are the field, the results count. What elements are we using in here? We're using the filters and the results count, I think, and the list. So let's do that. Elements, list, and results count, and filters. Filters, like that. Oh. And the settings that are being used are the field. And what else? There's an additional setting that we haven't tried, which is the fuzzy operator. Let's add it here because there's an additional fuzzy setting that allows you to decide how strong should the fuzzy search be. And by default, it's 0.2. But we can make it, let's try 0.5. And let's see how it differs from the search, Aldiris and Alalo, when it's 0.5. Oh, so now it's more permissive. So when it's closer to 0, it's matching, Let's do 0.3. I was wrong. When it's closer to 0, it's more strict. When it's closer to 1, it's more permissive. Nice. Nice. Okay. Maybe instead of defaulting to 0.2, we should default to some other value, because maybe 0.2 it's too strict. Not sure. Okay. Well, let's check that there are 10 results in here. Like that. Let's try this again. Let's change the music. Some acoustic music. Okay, cool. So this is passing. Great. Now let's do another test for not text filtering, but number filtering. So let me move this up just for reference, and then let's wrap this in a div. Let's duplicate thing. And actually, no, because we're using specific page for text. So let's duplicate this, and let's make this filter basic number. Let's do another test, but just for numeric values. This means that here, this is completed. This is done. Automated test. The automated test is the filter basic text. Like that. Okay, great. So filter basic text. I can give you the exact date where we are targeting to release attributes, and it's at the end of February. I think that it's, hold on, let me see. I think that it was, how can I remember the date? It's either mid-February or end of February. One of the two. But just to be safe, I'm going to say that it's end of February. Yeah, and I will be live streaming until that happens. So every single day, I will be working on attributes and sharing a bit of that journey until we launch and open source. So anybody who's wanting to contribute, you'll be able to, contribute better if you've been following a bit of the live streams, because you can see a bit how it's built internally. Great. There's another setting that we need to play here, which is fs list type. And this is defines a specific type, defines a custom type for a list field or number or date, like that. Great. So let's duplicate this. Let's add another test for filter basic number. Filter at least by all the number matching operators. And this is going to be filter basic and list results count filters and some additional setting, which is going to be the type setting, like that. We should add another another field in here that it's optional allowed values. Let me do that super quick. This will be Let's do this. Allowed values. And this load count can be any number. List field can be any string. And fs list type can be either number or it number or date. Okay, great. So let's do that. So in here, have you duplicated this? Basic number, okay, number filtering. Let's get rid of this. Am I gonna remember this? I might not. Let's keep it. And in here, instead of using the name, let's use the year, because there's a year field in here. Year, nice. And this is gonna be the field called year. And in addition to this, we want to use the type of number. So fs list type number, like this. So we're defining, hey, this, it's a number. It's not a string. Great, we keep this, we keep this. Cool, so the year can be equal. We can still preserve this, equal. It's gonna be year. Year, not equal. Same thing. The year it contains, I would say that we can also do that. It will be weird for a number, but we can potentially do that. And the not contains as well. I haven't tried fuzzy. That's going to be interesting. But then also we can do more things. We can do greater than, less than. So let's do, and let's make these type numbers, actually. They should be a type of number. They should be a type of number as well. Type number. Type number. Type number. Let's do year greater. Let's do greater equal as well. Greater equal. Less. And less equal. What else? Empty, not empty. I think it's fine. The type, it's fine. And the form fields. We could potentially make these range input, but it's essentially like a number input when it comes to the output. It's still a number. Okay, let's do this. Great, let's do manual testing, and then we can do the automated test. Hey, Dennis, I'm going to answer to this question. Well, I'm going to read this when the sprint finishes. So in 2 minutes, 45 seconds. Stay with me. Come on, Webflow. Why do you do this to me? Ah. Oh, let's start writing the test. Text filter basic tag text. Let's do filter basic number. Filter basic number. So we've got filters, list, items count, results count, equal input, not equal input. All these things are the same, but I need to add more things. This is going to be greater equal and then less and less equal. Okay, so first it should be 300 and then we can move on from here. Okay, have we published? Yes, we have. Number. Okay, cool. Let's try this. So equal, if we do 2020, for example, we get 38 items where all of them are 2020. That's nice. Great. Okay. So let's start with 2020. Here, the equal input, we're going to add 2020. And we expect to have 38 results, where the first item obviously has 2020. Great. Then the not equal, let's do 2020 again. 2020 again, we are matching 262 items. 262 items, and the first item has 2017. Great, not equal. Then the contains, let's do that it contains, let's do that it contains 201. Actually, no, let's do the greater, equal, stuff like that. Or we do it later. Dennis, you were saying, I have found a case for a feature stream in the last few days. I have tried to build an IDE in which I work module-based to import JS as modules on a Webflow website, provided the corresponding DOM elements are available. Imagine if data component XYZ exists, import script type module, source URL, source URL example, haven't been able to get an IDE to work that way. Can you give me a bit more context? Because you're saying you tried to build an IDE. You mean from scratch or using some base like Monaco editor or Code Mirror, things like that, or some other package for rich text inputs, whatever? Because building an IDE from scratch, that sounds pretty complex. Not gonna lie, I don't think you're gonna achieve that in just a few lines of code. Let me try to understand your use case. I have tried to build an IDE in which I work module based to import JS as modules, okay, on a Webflow website, provided the corresponding DOM elements are available. What I don't understand is that last sentence, provided the corresponding DOM elements are available. So if I get this right, what you're trying to do is you're trying to load the page and then you want to scan all the DOM elements and see if some DOM element matches a specific setting or attribute value or something, which tells you that you need to dynamically import JavaScript. Is that what you're saying? Because if that's the case, that's exactly how Attributes v2 works. In Attributes v2, Yes. Okay, good. So maybe you're not talking about an IDE, you're talking about a library. Because an IDE is this. VS Code is an IDE. So that's exactly how attributes eraser, how attributes v2 works. So in attributes v2, as I mentioned, there are in attributes v2 we use many packages, right? We split every single attribute in a different package. So we've got a package for count items, copy clip, list, modals, range sliders, all that stuff, right? And there are two ways that you can import things. One way it's by just defining the yes, let me show you. The attribute script in this particular case in attributes v2, what we do is we import the script, which is a type module, which is asynchronous, and it has a source, which right now it's localhost. But then we also define the attributes that we want to use. So it can be fs list, it can be range slider, it can be whatever, right? And this essentially is telling the attributes package, hey, you need to go and download some extra resources to initialize all the logic for fs list, or all the logic for range slider, or all the logic for whatever, right? And it all comes down to using dynamic imports. I had tried to modify the Finsweet developer starter so that this works, as well as I'm trying to build my own boilerplate. Well, I can tell you that attributes v2 is built on top of the Finsweet developer starter. All you need to do is this. You need, in the build script, the one that uses yes build, you need to use a format of ESM in here. I don't know if you can see this. Here, when you define the context when building in ES build, you define the format of ESM. You also define splitting, so then everything is split. And oh, this ring is a bit too loud. And then also I define some dedicated chunk names with fingerprinting, and that's just because of caching. Because anytime that we publish a new version of attributes v2, I want to be able to invalidate the cache of all the different build files. And then inside the library, what we do is this. Look at this. So when we load an attribute, all we are doing is simply do this. We dynamically import this import keyword here. It's what's called JavaScript dynamic imports. We're dynamically importing one of the packages of the monorepo. So in the monorepo, you can see how we've got a package for accessibility, accordions, audio video, before and after. We've got many things. We just do this, and ES build is smart enough to say, oh, okay, in your code, you're using dynamic imports, and you're importing things from the code base. So that means that I have to get those things and split them up between different chunks. So if we check the dist folder, and there's a lot of shit here because it's been accumulating. So let me get rid of this and let me run dev again for a second. But you will see how it essentially splits all the logic in different chunks like that. But not all these chunks are being imported. When you go in here and you check the JavaScript that it's being downloaded, it just imports a few of these chunks like that. So there's the attributes entry file, and then it imports a few of these chunks, which it's a bit more in development mode than in build mode. Usually in build mode, it's more contained. But that means that we are only downloading the logic for fs list in this particular case, if that makes sense. Okay, good. Last print. Yeah, that's a lot of chunks, I know, but in when it's built, it's better. It's not as bad as that. Great. Let's continue testing things. So equal, not equal. Let's do greater or equal. Makes sense. You'll try it again. Cool. Nice. Thank you. Okay, cool. So we've done the equal, not equal. Ta, 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 ta. Let's do the other ones. Let's do the contains. So the contains, if we do 201, we should get all the items that are not 2020 something. We should get all the items that are 2010 something. So in this case, we're matching 108 items. 108 items. And the first one, we can get rid of this. And first item has 2017. Come on. Like that. And this should actually be renamed to year. I'm not liking this music. Change to launch. Okay, so the contains, it should return 108 results. And then the not contains, it should return the rest, which should be 292. Sorry, 192. Correct. Okay. So the same thing, 201, and it should return. Let's see if Copilot is smart enough. Yeah! Good job, Copilot. And the first one should be 2020. Okay, great. And in fuzzy, let's do 20. Yeah, doesn't seem like it matches when doing fuzzy for number, but maybe it should. Let me check this. So when we're filtering by fuzzy, let's close the others. When we're filtering by fuzzy, right, we are checking for strings. Does the search allow for anything? What does the search allow for? Query combination or a string or a wildcard? What's a wildcard? It's a unique symbol. Right. So if it's not a string, if it's a number, let me see 1 second. The values are always collected as strings. Right. So filter data. And at what point was I converting this into numbers? Nah, hold on. We should get this far. We should get this far. Yeah, we are getting this far. So the thing is that here, when doing this, the filter data, maybe the properties are not strings. So components, let me check this. The last item, we are storing the properties like this. And it's either a type number, a type date, type text. Hmm. Right. So that means that we might have to modify the accessor. I'm using for the fuzzy filtering, I'm using a package that it's called minisearch. Minisearch essentially has it index all the items, and it does the search based on the weights that you define. And it has a way of not only extracting, but also I think that it has something else like process. What a vacuum ID field, process term, search options. What's the process term? Function used to process a term before indexing or search. This can be used for normalizations such as stemming. By default, terms are downcased on otherwise no other normalization is performed. Right. Okay. Yeah. Um, Field name, term, term to the lowercase. Yes. Okay. Um, ID fields value. Extract the field. But maybe we can do it in here instead. Yeah. So what I want to do is when the field it's not a string, we need to convert it. Yeah, correct. So let me refactor this for a second. Let's make it better. If field key ID this, okay, cool. Then field, it's equals to item fields field key, like that. If there is no field, return. Then the value zero. If there is no value, no, if the value is undefined, because it could be a nullish, return. Then the type, field.type. Right, we can do a bit of destructuring. Hold on. Field, and here we can get the value, we can get the type, like this. If the value is undefined, is the value always an array? I think that it's always an array. Yes, it is always an array. So the value can I get the first one? Come on. Can I destructure this to get the first one? Can I destructor value in place to get the first value of the array? I forgot if I can do that in JavaScript. Oh yeah, I can. Nice, cool. Okay, so value is undefined, return, and then let's do return type equals to date. Then let's do to ISO string. Okay. And if the type is equals to the number, to string, and otherwise a value. Yeah, why not? Let's try this. So if we did it this way, and if I, interesting. What am I missing? What am I missing? Let's see. Um, the search, fuzzy search. Let's check the index. Document count 300. Document ID is field IDs, index, size, tree size. No, that's empty. Options, stored fields. Yeah, it's not storing anything. Do you want to know why, Dennis, the items are loading this fast? That's because I implemented a caching strategy that uses IndexedDB. I can talk about that maybe in another time, or maybe when I do the break. But essentially, when let me try to remember, when we are loading extra pages for for paginated CMS items, we only do it once. So then if you're reloading the page, this is not needed to be fetched again. It can come from the IndexedDB cache. So essentially here, and somehow it's not being cached now. Interesting. But ideally, this requests should not stay here. It should be cached. So let me, actually, you just made me realize that when loading, load base items are cached in IndexedDB, which is not what's happening now. It just made me realize. Yeah. So we only fetch it again if the published date does not match the index. Correct. Yes. So essentially we use these published date from Webflow to see if the cache is still valid or not. That's right. I can show you. That's actually something that we already do in Attributes V1. In Attributes V1, see how fast it is to load 2000 results. And if I inspect here, you can see how there's no fetching because IndexedDB stores all the different pages. So we don't have to be fetching them again. But somehow I broke that in Attributes V2. So I will need to check that. But anyways, let's continue focusing here. Fuzzy, it's not working. Why is it not working? Come on. Why is it not working? Why? Let's console log here. Should be extracting. Okay, so here this is failing to extract. Oh, right. Because I need to change. I need to fix this. Yeah, that's a big irony. I fucking hated it. Yeah. um, because I need to change this. So the minute search should be based on this. Ah, right. Right. So maybe I didn't even need to do all of these. I just needed to I need to make these dynamic so it stores for the fields that exist in the items. That's something that I was missing to do for the fuzzy filtering. Okay. So for now, let me try this for a second. And let's comment this out. Let's see if that wasn't needed at all. Yeah, it wasn't needed. It already handles the numeric values for me. Okay, so I can get rid of this. So let's add here to do dynamically retrieve the fields. And I need to do this in here. So the filter basic text, the fuzzy, it's missing. Okay, I will do that in a second. Let's finish this test and let's do that. So the fuzzy input, if I add 2020, this should return, no, 202, 2020. Interesting. Okay. So if I do 2020, it matches all of the items that have 202, but then the last one is kind of like flexible. Button detection aborting due to timeout. What is this? I think that's a Chrome extension. Okay, so we should expect the fuzzy input to return if we do 2020. It should have 192 items. Cool. Great. Then fill the greater input with, let's do 2020 again. If we fill this with 2020, the greater, it should return, okay, 154. Is that right? So essentially all the items above 2020, excluding 2020. Okay, 154. And the first one should have 2021. Okay, great. Then let's do the same thing, but for the greater equal input. And if we do greater equal, if I'm not mistaken, it should be 192. Yes, 192. And the first one should be 2020. Okay, then let's do less. It should be the 108. And the first one should be 2017. Good job. And then 2020 for less equal and expect. So it should be 108, I think. No, it should be 140 something, I think. Yeah, 146. And it should be the first one, 2020. Okay, good. Let's run this. Whoops, failed. When doing greater or equal, it is expecting to be 92, but it's saying 54. Greater? Oh, because we need to clear the fields. Hold on. Clear the fields. Clear the fields always. So after doing this, here, and here, and here, and Leslie here. Okay, let's run it again. Nice. Passing. Great. Doesn't it perhaps to make sense, especially with numbers, that fuzzy search allows the maximum of 2 numbers above and below its tolerance? Example, the tolerance can be definable. Yeah. So there's these attribute in the fuzzy search that allows you to range between 0 and 1, where 0 it's very strict and 1 it's very lax. So you can simply tweak this value to just play around with different tolerances and see what matches best for you. This one here. Okay, good. So let me try to get before ending. I know that it's only 2 minutes left, but there's something that I want to fix, and it's that the fuzzy search indexing should be dynamic, because right now it's hard coded with some fields, but that was just for testing. Okay, I need to make this dynamic. Now the question is, can I, once it's defined, one second, once it's defined, there's that fuzzy search. Can I add more fields? Get stored fields. Remove all, replace, search, temp count to JSON, vacuum. Add all async, how to suggest, third count, third factor. Get stored fields. Replace, remove all, replace, search to JSON, vacuum. Add all, third count, document count. I don't think that we can define the stored fields. So instead of initializing this fuzzy searching here, we will probably have to wait until all the CMS items are parsed. Or we can construct that dynamically when we filter. So instead of doing it here, let's try that. So let me comment this out, and we're gonna do public fuzzy search, and that can be a mini search, or it can be undefined. Oops. Like this. So there's a chance that this is undefined. Right, but first we need to add all the items. We need to add the items. We need to add the items. The thing is that it can be that let me do something here. Because maybe I could dynamically construct fuzzy search. Um, but as well, here when we are adding items, we need to add those items as well. I need to know the properties beforehand, but I only know the properties when I've loaded the items. But there might be items initially, there might not be items initially as well. Okay, let me try something. So I'm gonna do these fuzzy helper. I'm gonna do export const create fuzzy search. So let's create a factory method. And then here we're gonna pass we are gonna pass some initial items, I think. Yeah, let's pass items. List item. And whoops. In here, we're gonna use this. So we're gonna construct what I just commented out. This. Like that. Then minute search here. But before creating minute search, before doing this, we need to retrieve all the different fields. So we're gonna do a fields items dot reduce. And from here, I want to create a new set because the fields should be unique. And they should be a set of strings. So from each of these items, item that fields, I want to get the keys. Item that fields, and then do this. Or is it? No need to get this. I can simply do this like that. So I'm getting the keys of each of these fields, and each of that, I add that to the set, and then I return this, and then these can be an array like that, and we can pass this like this. So essentially, then we are dynamically collecting the fields from the loaded items. Mini search factory method, a new mini search instance. And then in here, we can do, when we get some items, we can do this that fuzzy search. If it does not exist, we can do create fuzzy search, and we can pass the items like that. Oh, hold on, but I don't want to do that because if it exists, I need to pass the items. So I want to still add these items in there because it could happen that this is not creating it. And if I don't do this, then it's not going to be adding them. So I need to do this. And same thing down here. Like that. Okay. That should have worked. Okay, so we got the fields dynamically. What about the text? Is it gonna get the fields as well? Yes. Good. Nice. Great. There could be another option of switching this into, so moving this logic into here. But the problem is that when filtering for the first time, there might be no items. There might be no items. Yeah. For now, we'll keep it as is. I'll think of if we can refactor this somehow. Great. Well, that's the end of today work experience. So before I end this, first of all, I'm going to say that I appreciate every one of you guys being here. Anybody who's still watching and has been enduring me talking nonsense for 2 hours, thank you all. Today's Wednesday, so I'm still gonna do tomorrow as well, same time. On Friday, I'm not gonna be live streaming this session. I'm gonna be live streaming the usual Finsweet live stream, which is at a different time. It's at 3 p.m. my time, which ET, I think that it's 9 a.m. Yeah, correct. So 9 a.m. ET, 3 p.m. my time. I think that it's for 2 p.m. UTC, I think. Same thing, but that's for Finsweet. For these live sessions where I'm just building things, same time tomorrow. Next week, I might try doing a different time zone, not time zone, different time slot, just for testing. I want to see how people, can follow along in different schedules. Appreciate it, Danny. Thanks, Dennis, for the insights. Looking forward to the next streams. Cool. Okay. Well, I'll be sharing that always on Twitter. So before I go live, I will always be making a video and letting you guys know. So that's a goodbye for me. I wish you everyone a good day and see you tomorrow. Thank you for coming by. Goodbye, all.